Okay, first off, as you can tell, I look like crap. It's on my lunch break. I just got off. And I'm on my way home. The second thing is, as you can probably tell, also, I'm very sick. My kid was sick last week, early last week, and as a result, Dad got sick, which one does. But as you can see behind me, I have some old computers in my car, and that's because of a retro PC find that literally sprung on me. I was blindsided by this completely. I was not aware this was going to happen today. Wait till I get this stuff unloaded and show you guys, because it's something I finally got something I've been looking for. God, I sound like crap. I can tell. Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And in this video, as you can tell, I have some new additions to my retro collection. And as you probably just saw from the little snippet video that I showed of me in my car, not only am I sounding a lot better, but yeah, this is the retro haul that I mentioned there. That has a very interesting and weird story. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at all this stuff, seeing what's all here, power testing it, see what works and what doesn't work, and then get a game plan going. And yes, I'm shoving this ahead of some other videos because, well, since I was sick last week, I was not in the mood to do any recording. So, see what's all here, because I'm actually really, really excited. Because, as you can tell, this is awesome. Okay, so you can see behind me, I have a whole bunch of really neat Apple II stuff. And I said there was a really interesting story with all this in the YouTube shorts and the TikTok that I made with this when I was still sick, which I, was on the tail end of when I recorded that. Now I'm finally getting around to recording this. But I mentioned that that has a very interesting story as to why I have this stuff. And the interesting story is, well, this. So about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a middle school teacher at my local middle school that had a Apple II GS full setup in her classroom that she's had there for the past, I think, 20 years. And originally, 20 years ago, the Apple II GS was not collectible. She was just using it because there was a lot of educational software that was not, on, at the time, modern computers. But over the course of past few years, the Apple II GS was relegated to basically showing students how old computers worked, how old floppy drives worked, and that kind of stuff. And it was a constantly used thing, apparently. When I found out she had it, I kind of messaged her and talked to her and asked if she was what she was going to do with it in the future, and she said she didn't know yet. Well, she finally retired and said that she was interested in getting rid of it, and I offered her some money for it, which we haven't made this transaction yet. It's taking up space in her basement. She really wants to get it gone. I just haven't got my hands on it yet, and I want to, because she's mentioned several times that there is a hard disk for it. And when I asked her, do you mean hard floppy disk, she keeps saying no, she's talking hard disk, which there was a hard drive for the Apple II GS, which I do want to get my hands on if that's what she actually has. But I think she's meaning hard floppy disk. But anyway, her husband, who is a farmer and a really good customer at the auto shop that I worked at, he's clearing out his uncle's house in a nearby town, and he's needing to get into the fields because as of the day I'm recording this, his fields were at, I believe he said 23% dryness, which is getting dry. He needs to get that stuff out of the field. And he said he's going to be hammering it in the field, and he was clearing out his uncle's house trying to get it done, and he's found some old computers, and that's why I was interested. I said, yeah, sure. What are they? He said, I don't know, they're tan apples. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. Well, I assumed, because he first said they were from the 90s, that they were the Macintoshes, like the SE30 or the Classic or any of the LCs or any of the later Power PC ones. So you can kind of imagine my utter surprise when he showed up and these were in the back seat. And he just threw them at me, which was kind of a shock into itself, because obviously a couple of these things I have been really looking for, especially what's over here. So let's take a look at all what's here, power test it, and get a game plan going, because like I said, this is actually really super really cool. In fact, I probably should change the name of my channel instead of Definitely Casual PCs to Holy Crap, I Found 2 of something, because how many times now have I come across 2 of the same machine in a retro find? It's I probably should change my name to Holy Crap, there's 2. All right, so first off, we have two of these monochrome Apple II monitors. These are the green phosphor ones. That is really cool. I finally have two green phosphor composite monitors because I have those Amdex, which are, yes, they're amber, but unfortunately that's the 9-pin MDA, so I can't use it for generic stuff. And I have that Apple II monitor, which is white phosphor. And yes, technically I have that Commodore monitor, which can do monochrome, but I believe it's green, but that has some issues and I need to do some work to it. We have three of these Apple II Duo discs, which I was not expecting to ever come across these ever, because these are kind of sought after. And unfortunately, I only have one cable here, but there's only two cables for these three. So I don't know if maybe one went bad and he bought a third one to replace it, or what. But yeah, I only have two cables, and the cables for these are about as sought after as the drives. Over here we have a Apple imagewriter 2, which is nearly identical to my other one, except I believe this is an actual badge instead. The other one I think is silkscreen, and the other one says imagewriter 2 here. And this is also, the other one's yellowed, but this one's a lot whiter. So I think it's a later revision for like the Platinum series. But yeah, this one should just work. I mean, the other one just worked as well. And I also have the special DIN to serial cable for this, so I can use it with the other computers over here. Which is, we have an Apple IIe. This is something I was actually really wanting to find. Yes, I have a 2 Plus and I have the 2GS, so technically I didn't need a 2E. But there's some things the 2E can do that the 2GS is just overkill for, and there's things that the Apple II Plus can't do that this thing could be useful for as well. And this is actually really, really cool that I have a 2E. And then over here we have another Apple IIe, but as you can tell right here, this is the enhanced version, which has some minor quality of life things, a little bit better CPU, better video ROM. I think it has lowercase support, built-in ROM for 80 column stuff. But yeah, two Apple II GS. So yeah, two Apple IIes. One of them, they're almost identical, but so the first one here is in actually really good shape. It is yellowed up here. I can kind of see it. You can kind of see it on the camera. And then right here, there's a line of it being less yellowed, which means that's where the monitor, or one of the discs 2 was. But all the keys are intact, and that, oh, I love this keyboard. It's not as good as the 2GS's, but it's definitely better than the 2 Pluses. Alright, let's see what's in here. Ew, dusty. But we have a standard look at that. IO controller card. So basically the 5 1/4, the later 5 1/4 floppy controller. That was in slot 6. We have this card here, which is attached to this giant ribbon cable. Oh, good God. But we have Micromax Systems Graph Max. Okay. Looks like version 5 or version S. So it's not an Apple II or an Apple branded one. But this is a parallel printer connector, so I think this might be a parallel card. Well, parallel. I mean, this must be a clone of the Grappler and Grappler Plus cards for printers. So I can use like the Epson and PC compatible printers. What is this? It's in the aux memory slot. Geez, that's a good big size card. Microsoft Premium Soft Card 2E. What is this? This is a big card. Because these two, so the 2Es came with 64K on board. And then here in this little auxiliary slot would be a 80 column / 64K upgrade card to bump it up to 128K. But this is not that. This is almost like an accelerator card or something. With a super high res switch. What is this? Well, soft card. So the Microsoft soft cards were Z80 cards for the Apple II line. Fully what that is? Well, actually, that's a Zilog Z80 processor. So this is, yeah. So this is actually a Z80 card for CPM stuff. But I'm also seeing a bunch of RAM on here too. So is this like an all-in-one card? 80 column, 64K, and Z80. Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. That is cool because it's too long for the case, So there's actually a notch in the PCB for the casing. That's funny. Okay, so yeah, here's the CPU rated 6502. Just the basic 6502. The reason why I bring that up is because the enhanced one over here should have the enhanced 65C02. But yeah, this thing's, it's, besides being dusty, everything looks okay in here. So this one might work, which we are going to power test it here in a second. All right, now for the 2E enhanced. Same keyboard, I think. Well, actually the keys feel a little different, so it might be a different keyboard. But we have the enhanced sticker, and it's kind of weird because the 2E, the E already stood for enhanced. So it's like the enhanced. Why, I don't know, but let's see what's in this one. This one's a little bit lighter, like the whole case is a little bit lighter. Ooh, we are stacked in here. What do we got? All right, let's just start left to right. And the aux connector. Yeah, okay, this was what I was expecting in another one. The 80 column 64K memory expansion. This is what I was expecting. So this is normal. So yeah, this is what gives it 80 column capabilities and a total of 128K of RAM. So this is what I was kind of expecting. And the 2E Platinums, which I would, now that I have the 2E, I would like to find a 2E Platinum at some point, had a much smaller, like, consolidated card. So yeah, that's neat. Super serial card, I believe. Yep. Run-of-the-mill super serial card, just like the other one I have for the 2 Plus. Switches are way different. And it's a much different one, too. The switch block's a bit different. I like the switch block a little bit better. So, yeah, this is what the imagewriter 2 must have plugged into, because I do have the cable for this style connector. What's this one? All right, we have a Apple II memory expansion for Apple computers. Just generic Apple, not just Apple IIe. So this would also work with the 2 Plus. I'm not sure how much RAM is on here. I'll have to look this one up when I do the restoration, but it's not very well populated. So I'm guessing maybe this is a 512K RAM board or something. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Another I/O controller card for the 5.25 drive. So yeah, for the Duo Disc. That looks so much cooler than the one that I've got in my 2 Plus right now, because this one's at least got the long cable. And the last one, just a light that says card on, but what does it? D780C. I think that's the Z80. Yeah, I think that's a generic Z80 card. Like, it's not a Microsoft specific one, but this is just the Z80. So this would do, so both of these machines would run CPM, which would be freaking awesome. So we have the 65C02, the enhanced of the 6502, which gives it some better instruction sets and that kind of stuff. It gets a little bit more power and performance. The bad thing about that is apparently it breaks compatibility with some early 2 and 2 Plus software, but I don't know about that yet. Oh, the missing key. Looks like it's been glued on before, though. So that's going to need to be a future repair job, but hey, the key's there. So let's power test some stuff. Alright, so the first one we're going to test is the printer, because this is the easiest thing to test. I wouldn't grab just a single sheet of tractor feed paper. So yeah, this is going to be one of the easiest things to test. So just like my other one, there's a black ink cartridge in here. Hopefully, I'm kind of bummed out by that. I was kind of hoping there's going to be a color one, but that's fine. Alright, simplest power test in existence. Power test. And it works. Let's see if it prints something. Form feed. Okay, well, I didn't. It started printing a little wonky there. I mean, to be fair, I didn't have it probably set right, but it did start printing really good. Nice and clear, which is nice. And then we kind of went off the rails. So it might need some lubricating stuff, but hey, the printer works. And to test the Duo Discs and the monitors, I'm going to be using my trusty Apple II Plus that I restored almost fully last year. Just got to do some more work on the keyboard, but it's basically fully working now. Alright, so we're going to test this monitor first and just see what happens. Okay, powered up. I'm going to put in DOS 3 3 in here. And power on the Apple II Plus. See what happens. Uh-oh. Oh, well, gee, hey. I hope we plug power into the 2 Plus before we flip this power switch and panic. There we go. And hey, look at that. Apple II. Uh-oh. The drive didn't read all the way. My 2 Plus just locked up. Uh-oh. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we saw a prompt. Why did this not PR6? Oh wait, no, I'm in 5. Uh-oh. That drive's not working all the way. And don't know if you can see, but I think that image is really, really unstable. So I'm gonna move the cable down to the next Duo Disc and try that one. Okay, so bit of a problem. None of those 3 Duo Discs are booting. They're all doing the exact same thing. It boots for like 2 seconds and stops and then hard locks. So I'm gonna try this known working one and see. No, it does the same thing, but oh no, the screen just collapsed. Okay, so this monitor doesn't work very well. Let's turn this one on. Okay, we're on. But I have no... prompt. Ooh, I kind of do, but it's not stable. All right, so this monitor not working either. Okay. Well, that's a problem. Okay, so I joked I could change my channel name to hey, I found 2 of something. I could also change it to, well, that didn't work. So the problem earlier when I was power testing the monitors and these Duo Discs with my 2 Plus was that it would hard lock, and it would also hard lock with the other 5-1/4 drive I have. Now I did discover that one monitor did power on, like you saw, but then it collapsed, and the other one was just being erratic, so they both need recapped at the very least. But I really can't test these Duo Discs right now because I'm having another RAM problem with the 2 Plus. Yeah, no, I fixed it last year, and it was working fine for the past few months, but now it's not wanting to work again. It's annoying. Basically, ProDOS 2.4.2 gives it a RAM address error. DOS 3.3, both versions I have will not boot. Even with the 16K card pulled out, it just won't boot. Hard locks, like you saw, with all 4 of my drives. And it won't even boot the Apple II dealer diagnostics image I have on my floppy emulator here. So I'm now back to square one with the Apple II Plus's RAM issue. So no idea what's going on. If anybody out there watches this video can have a clue as to what it's doing, I'll send a video clip of it doing it. But anyway, so I'm going to do something kind of stupid. Is I'm just going to say screw it and plug these Duo Discs into these 2 E's and power them on with the other 2 monitor I have and see what happens. I will say this is kind of stupid, yes, because if you come across a Apple II in the wild, 2 Plus, 2E, 2GS, 2E Platinum, whatever, the reason why it's stupid is because the reefer caps in these will blow. It's like a 99% chance they're going to pop. Now, luckily, Apple II has a wire to where the line filter is just an auxiliary reefer cap, so it literally just filters in the incoming voltages into the lines. This was really important, you know, back during the ham radio days and when everybody was running analog stuff, but nowadays it's not as big a deal. So if it does pop, it'll still work just fine. I don't even notice there won't even be a flicker, but it's still a thing, so keep that in mind. What I'm doing is pretty stupid. So let's just power on and see what happens. Uh-oh. Welp. 2E enhanced is has a completely dead power supply because it won't do anything. Okay, well, let's try the other 2E then. Okay, see this one power's on. Hey, look at that. Sorry for the flickering, but hey, my Apple IIe is working. Oops. Oops. Oh, it won't catalog. Uh-oh. Well, that's a problem. Okay, well, let's just try ProDOS here. Hey, look at that. ProDOS. Oh, yeah. Basic system. Cat. And look at that. That one's working. And then it should be D2. Uh-oh. Okay, so that one gives a fit. Let's try the second one. All right, well, this one's booting. Go to basic. Cat. Cat D2. Hey, look at that. All right, so the second one works. This one does not. All right, let's try this. All right, so this bottom one's working. Cool. Catalog. Cat 2. Hey, look at that. Awesome. Okay. So, if you're wondering what I'm doing, okay, so I'm going to do something stupid. I want to see if this 2E enhanced works, but I can't because the power supply's dead. So I'm going to do something really janky, but, you know, we'll see. Yeah, I'm doing something really janky here because I want to see if this 2E enhanced works or if it's the power supply or not. And this is janky. I know it is, but there's also no reason why this shouldn't work. I am just going to plug the 2E, not enhanced, power supply into the main board of the 2E enhanced. Fingers crossed. Oh. You know, it would help if I hit the right power supply switch. Look at that. It's working, but I want to run a self-test. I should do this with the other 2E, but so it's control, open, close, reset. Hey, look at that. Well, the 2E enhanced is just working, running through its self-test. Okay, well, this video turned out to be very, very, well, interesting. So, quick recap of everything that was here that works and what doesn't work. The imagewriter 2. Okay, I just got the system. Okay, good. So, everything that works. The imagewriter 2 works just fine. Obviously, it does. I just need to. I don't know why it bound up like that. I think it might just be the paper. I must have ripped the that little rip in the guides. Must have caused it from sort of feeding correctly. But anyway, that works just fine. I expect it to work just fine. Now, so I have two imagewriter 2s, both black ribbon, and each having their own separate cables. One has the 8-pin DIN for the 2GS, and one has the serial cable for the 2E and 2 Plus style, which is good. The 2E non-enhanced, the one that's jankily held up over here, works just fine. Everything works. And unfortunately, only one working monitor, which is this other Apple II style monitor here. And that's part of the problem that I want to talk about, is the 2 Plus. With its RAM issue again, I couldn't connect to ADD Pro to make any floppies for this to test out the CPM cards or any of its special diagnostics like the 2E diagnostics or even card catalog to tell me exactly what's in both these machines. And I know what you're thinking, well, just use your 2GS. Well, unfortunately, the 2GS is having the exact same problem, just not a RAM problem. It locks up with ADD Pro 210, and even though it does boot with ProDOS, for some reason it will not communicate with my laptop. I'm getting a host timeout error. So unfortunately, I need to do some work with the GS as well. So right now, the only fully working 2 system that I have is this non-enhanced 2E. And I don't want to just put this into service without doing the power supply. So all this is going to be put up and put in storage, or at least put up anyway until I can get to restoring them. So anyway, the reason why I'm not too antsy about making floppies for this right now is because the guy I got these from did say there is a box of floppies that came with these that all say Apple II. So hopefully the CPM floppies are in there so I can test out the CPM cards in both of these. But that's a way future thing, if you whatever. But anyway, yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching the video. Really hope you enjoyed this quick look at these, my latest addition to my retro computer room. Again, I could change my channel name to I Found Two of a Thing, because obviously two. You'll be seeing these a little bit more in the future once I get to the time to actually restoring them. There's not going to be coming up right now. I have a Septani thing I'm going to be doing and a BBS thing I'm going to be doing. So that being said, thank you all for watching this video. Really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.